Hey, hi, I'm Gerald Powell. I'm ready for some pizza fun for kids, and I'm doing it for my kids. They're not here. Normally they'd be here, and they would roll their own dough, and they would prepare their own toppings and actually make their own pizza. They think that's a great fun and a great time, and they've been doing it for a few years, and they're not very old yet, but tell you what, when you make your own pizza with your own idea, your own ingredients, it just tastes better to you, and that's one of the main tenets of Pizza for Fun. And Pizza Made Fun, and we're making some fun pizza for kids. I made my dough, and I got it nice and velvety. It's real floppy. And what I'm going to do is put it on my cast iron grill. And what you want to see is some bubbling, and that's going to take a few minutes. So what I'm trying to do is use things you might have at home. So you might have a cast iron grill or a frying pan. You want to make it hot enough to where you really can't touch it, about 400 degrees. 425 is what I'm shooting for. And I can measure that, but I don't want to use my pizza making things that I have. So what I'm going to do is use stuff that you might have. I have a big spatula that I use for my barbecue, and I have a cookie sheet. And so I'm using these things that you might have, regular a bread machine to make my dough. I could have done it by hand and kneaded it. I have recipes for that, so you can check it out. Check out my link and you'll see that. I used a regular rolling pin to roll it. You could do it by hand and toss it if you know how to do it, but most people are going to have some trouble with that. So what I did was I just mashed it down with my fingers, and then I rolled it out. And I got some ground hamburger, just plain and browned, that we made last night, and some regular spaghetti sauce. My kids like what they call the Rustico, which has a little bit of vegetables in there, and then some nice mozzarella and extra virgin olive oil. So we're going to get ready to put that on, because I have a feeling that my dough is bubbling up, and I see that happening, and it's getting nice and brown on the bottom, which will be the top, because I'm going to flip that over. So what I'm going to do is maybe pop a few of these bubbles. You can pop them or leave them. It's a choice, it's by taste, and I want it to be nice and even. I don't want my toppings to be sliding off. So I'm going to have a hot surface now when I go to put my toppings on. So if I want, I could remove it onto a plate like my cookie sheet and make it on there and then slide it back on. I'm going to be a little more daring than that and make it right on the grill. So here I go. And I would recommend that you do whatever's comfortable. You want to have a big enough one of these so you can treat it like a big pancake. Flip it over. And look at that, I got some nice brown around the edges there. Got some bubbles coming up. I'm going to put that down, get ready to take it off of my cookie sheet, and start to put my toppings on. And what I want to do is layer it, and we have to put the extra virgin olive oil on first because it forms a moisture barrier. And the moisture barrier is very important, especially since my kids aren't home yet, and I want this to last a while and not get soggy like the pizza that you bring home sometimes. You leave it overnight, it gets a little soggy, you don't have that crunch that you really like. And we're going to do that by keeping it from getting soggy. So I'm going to use a little Rustico sauce, maybe a couple of spoonfuls of that. Put it right on there and spread it around. My spoon, I just have a regular teaspoon. Like I said, I'm using stuff that you could use at home. And I'm going light on the sauce because I want this to last. If I put too much sauce, I'd want to serve that right away, because too much sauce is definitely going to get soggy on me. I'm going to put some hamburger right on there. So this is ground beef. We could use sausage. You could use whatever your kids like. Pepperoni, obviously a favorite with kids, or just plain cheese. And if you don't like the kids don't like the sauce, you might just try it just with the olive oil, and then put the cheese right on top of it. And I'm going to go a little light on the cheese. My cheese, I'm going to try to get to melt here, so I'm going to create a nice little mini oven. Obviously the cheese is to taste, and my kids like cheese, so I'm going to use the rest of my cheese. I'm going to create a little oven by covering it with a clear top. And I can see the edge down there, and it's already getting kind of brown. So what I'm going to do is pull it off of there, and I'm going to use a little secret. And I'm revealing secrets here. It's not just fun, but you're learning stuff that you could really use. Obviously, this could be cooked in the oven. It doesn't have to be cooked on the grill like this. I'm using the grill just because it gives us a really nice crisp shell on the outside, on the top, and on the bottom. But it allows the middle to be still flaky and tender, like good white bread, good fluffy, yeasty white bread. Anyway, I'm going to check this. It's been about a minute and a half, and it's getting some nice color on there, so I'm going to transfer it right to my cookie sheet. My cookie sheet's going to take it to the oven. I'm going to take it right into the oven, and I have my broiler set on 500 degrees, so when I open it up, you see the broiler's nice and hot, and it's smoking in there because I cooked some pizza for me earlier. And I'm going to put that right under the broiler burner. And notice I have a little pan under here to catch what I've been dripping. I've been dripping a little bit here. Some of the pizza toppings, some of the cheese, some of the oil. And I'm going to close that up, and it's going to fire that top of the pizza, get it nice and brown and crispy just like I like it. Now, what I'm really shooting for my kids is to make it nice and melted, with a little bit of brown on the cheese, just a little bit. If I don't brown the cheese, that's okay with them. They don't really mind. They kind of like it to where the cheese is nice and melted, but not browned. And I browned the crust, and that was on purpose. It was really interesting that you know, this new tool that I've been using, you can see that it got pretty hot. You know, I can feel the heat there. I think I got a little over 425, maybe 450, and that's pretty hot for that. Let me see, in my oven, let me see, it's been about a minute, maybe a little less. Every time I open the door, my broiler turns off, so I kind of peek in there. I got the light on, and I could see it up in there from below. Looks pretty good. But I want to see the top. Really, I'm looking at the top. So if your broiler doesn't turn off when you open your oven and you actually have a pizza peel, what you can do is just open your oven, take your pizza peel, a metal pizza peel. I wouldn't use a wood one. You could, but and just hold it under the broiler and move it around just a little bit. And you know, I would hold it maybe 1.5 inches from the broiler, and it would crisp that top up really nice and get it nice and brown for you. Finish cooking any of the toppings. Obviously the toppings that I used were already cooked, so that's a key, that I don't want to put anything raw on there. Got to be safe when we're cooking for our kids. And you know, you could put anything you like. You know, I covered it with the cheese, so the cheese would protect it if you want to use a product like tofu or you know, something else that your kids like, rather than ground beef. Ground beef's kind of a favorite around here. We just had some tacos, so we ground some beef, and look at that. That's working really good. We got the bright color bubbling up. I think they're going to love this one. So I'm going to take it off of the heat, and I'm going to use once again my improvised tools, my cookie sheet and barbecue instruments. You know, it's a real dad thing, huh? Put that right on the door and slide it on. Now, if I had two hands, I wouldn't have had to make that big jump. But look at that. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I wanted. Nice brown around the edges. Cheese is just starting to brown. And when I cut that, it's going to crunch. Get a nice crunch on my crust. So there it is. It is ground beef and cheese pizza. That's Pizza Made Fun for kids. I'm Gerald, and tune in for some more Pizza Made Fun in the future.